to those a little bit during the program. So I would like to invite forward our presiding elder, our district superintendent, who is Reverend Devil Limnick. About every other year, instead of attending every church conference in Wyoming, assigns different elders in the area to preside over different church conferences. So I've done one, I'll do another one later next month, and I'm sure Reverend Mark has a few that he gets to do as well. But lucky him, he drew straws to come and be with Grace. So Mark, I invite you forward, and there's your microphone right there.
Well, I'm gonna tell a story first, and if I use the microphone, it means I can't use my hands, and it'll only be half as good. So this is my story. Do we have any lawyers? No lawyer? We've got a lawyer? Okay. There was a lawyer and a dentist and a minister, and they were out hunting. And as they were together, they were talking about how much smarter I am than you are and all that kind of thing. And then they saw a really large buck off at the end of the meadow. And they started saying, well, that thing's too far away. You can't shoot it. I better do that. And the other said, no, I better. So they agreed that they would all see who could shoot the quickest to get it. And so they quickly got loaded up, safeties off, aimed, and then fired all at the same time. And the buck drops. So they're not sure who got it. Well, as they're arguing, of course, we can't help it, we're men. Then all of a sudden, there comes along a park ranger. And he said, yeah, I saw you guys shoot that buck, and we got to get a tag on it. And they said, well, we're not sure who got it. He goes, let me go look at it. I'll inspect the carcass, and I'll tell you who shot it. So he goes over there, and he looks at the deer. He yells back, the minister got the deer. And the lawyer said, well, how do you know? Because the bullet went in one ear and right out the other. Don't let what you learn go in one ear and out the other. And I have to say, it's wonderful to see so many of you here. And before you go, thank somebody else for coming. Because it's great to see. I've done many of these, and when I see a big crowd, it either means people are really mad or people are really happy. Really happy. Yes. Well, let us get started. I believe I need to turn it to Michelle.
Morning, good afternoon now. I just bring you greetings from Reverend Deb and from all of the sub-district conference people. Some of you may or may not know that I represent our sub-district conference as the sub-district conference lay leader, and so I have the opportunity and the privilege of attending many of the events like this around our southeast corner of the state of Wyoming. So, welcome and greetings from Reverend Deb.
Thank you very much. Let us please continue with our litany, which I believe we probably all have. If not, please look off somebody else. Oh, very good. They're on screen. Thank you. Let us read responsively. God of life, the source of healing, open our eyes to see your presence in our midst.
Open our ears to hear the promise of blessing for all your children and for all creation.
Bind up our brokenness, O God, of the grace, O God of grace and compassion. Forgive us for our many trespasses.
Work in us and through us for the work of healing. Strengthen us to move beyond defensiveness.
To acknowledge the past, claim the present, and live into the future with faith and truth.
Trusting that your grace is big enough to bring life anew. Grant us your grace and peace. Amen.
Well, as you probably all recall, we had the Imagine No Malaria campaign, which I was thrilled about because malaria has been such an issue in world history, and to have a first world country And the United Methodist Church take that on was fantastic. And I don't have the results other than I know you all did better than all the other churches in town. Thank you. Yeah, you really did. You guys did a super job.
We have one of the few families that's ever been directly affected by malaria as well.
Oh, really?
My daughter's a survivor.
Oh, my goodness. Well, thank you for all the work you guys have done. Thank you.
Our goal was to raise $1,000, and we raised $3,833.18.
Now that is growth. That is growth. That's terrific. I wanted to say just a couple of words. How many of you all were at the annual conference this last June? Is it okay? Great. If you have anything to add to this, please do. One of the things that we did was that we took an entire day and we went to the sites of the Sand Creek Massacre. And it was one of these, most people don't know this, but in 1976, our conference came together and prayed for forgiveness of the things that have happened in the past. And so we did the same kind of thing. And it was a wonderful experience to go there. I'd never been there. Most of us, I don't think, had. But to go and see where this atrocity had happened, and we really, truly came together as God's people. There are offering plates. Are there not somewhere? Where would you like these? Very good. The offering, and Sandy, I'm going to flip it for you. The offering goes to help with what? Okay, you're right. We're sponsoring a run.
The healing run.
The healing, that's it. We're sponsoring a run. That's
So,
what.
right. There is a healing run that will take place right after Thanksgiving. And people who are native peoples and maybe descendants of the Sand Creek Massacre and others can participate. And it's just a time of remembering, of healing, and restoring relationships between the people called Methodists and those who are descendants of the Sand Creek Massacre, which, if you didn't get that connection, the Sand Creek Massacre was led by at least one person who was a Methodist clergy person, and I think one other lay person in the Methodist Church. So that's why we feel a special call to be in healing relationships with the native peoples and the descendants of those that the massacre.
Thank you very much. Let's continue with approving and affirming the lay servants.
And I invite Brian Martin, Luann Floodwood, and Wanda Dent to stand. They have been through some training to be called lay servants, and they filled out some paperwork, which is always a part of the Methodist tradition. And so we would like to affirm them in their continuing as being lay servants to be available for a variety of ministries around our church and around our district.
Can you vote by a short
Also, next year at this time, at Church Conference for 2016, there will be a person that comes to you as a candidate for ministry, and at that point you will have a responsibility to vote for this person and approve her in continuing on in her candidacy for ordination. And so that will be upcoming next year, but I just want to give you a heads up that Miss Yvette Christie is in the candidacy process to become an ordained deacon in the United Methodist Church. And Reverend Mark, I think we need to nominate and approve our church conference secretary, and I've that Wendy Horton be our church conference secretary. Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those abstain, all those object, same sign. Great. It's always a point of contingency there. That's fights I've seen over that.
All right, now we are going to transition to church conference, the musical. So take a moment to do the last running around that you need because the lights are going to go out. Welcome, Brad, Laura, so good to see you.
Hi, Reverend.
Hi, welcome. Yeah, have a seat.
Thank you.
Well, I am just so excited to be sitting down with you today to have a conversation. So, what is it that we're going to be talking about?
Well, Reverend Sandy, as you know, we've been attending worship here for quite some time, and told Brad I've been thinking about it, so we could take a lunch.
The fun.
Uh-huh.
Well, oh, okay. We don't have a pool here at Grace United Methodist Church, but maybe I could contact First Christian Church and see if their baptismal pool is open.
No,
Definitely.
no, Reverend Sandy, no, I'm sorry, no, we like to attend the church.
Oh, that plunge, metaphorical plunge. I get it. The plunge into membership at Grace United Methodist Church, the plunge into community with the people here, the plunge into activities and committee work and.
We were hoping that you could give us some more information about the church, so we can make our final decision.
Oh, so you haven't decided yet?
No, not quite. We'd like to know about the ministries of the church, say, over that year, and we'll decide then if this is the place for us.
Okay, so you want to know more about Grace United Methodist Church and know what ministries and activities that we celebrated, say, over the year of 2014? Okay, well, then you've come to the right place. Brad and Laura Cushel, it is with deepest pride and greatest pleasure that
we don't already know about?
Yeah, maybe you could tell us about some of the girls we can get involved in. Most of the churches we visited about lots of programs and brochures about things that go on in there, so what do you have to offer us?
Oh, okay. Whew, I really thought that song was good, but, groups you can be involved in, okay? Sure, no problem. Just give me a sec. Okay, I think I got it. Some churches are really big and offer lots of stuff, but Grace UMC is small and like a family and better than anything you can find out there. The programs are always better. In somebody else's church, you dream about big productions, but you'll be left in the lurch. Just look at the church around you, right here in the fellowship hall. Such wonderful things around you. What more is you looking for? GUMC. GUMC. My friends, it's well. You find a trust. Take it from me. All of my friends will say the same. And they're all so glad you came. So they invite you. No, they won't fight you. GUMC. Love to get together and eat. There might be some biscuits and gravy. Maybe two lunches cup. Also some food to help some people in need. They do so many more things than just think about the next time you will see. Oh, I must have GUMC. GUMC. We have a good time. We are a family. We love to eat. Just how we supposed to look. Say, how well can you cook? You got to hear it, GUMC. People are sweet here. All that you meet here naturally. In each service or class, you'll find great people en masse. We got to soul here. That's how we roll here, GUMC. They do art too, and they do great things. They have lots of fun, but also great
breakfast, so the United Methodist Women's Circle, and maybe join some of the other activities that happen.
That's so wonderful that you're decided.
Not so fast. Family, feeling some great fun. But how is this church ran? What's the financial situation? Who takes care of the property? What's the administration like? Et cetera.
Well, then I am going to have to turn this over to our finance people. Bobby?
I invite you to take a look at page 24 in your playbill. This will be our approved budget for 2015. This budget, aside from the pastoral compensation package, which we'll be addressed in a moment, has been reviewed and approved by the Finance Committee and the Ministry Council. This is for information only. If you take a quick peek and have any questions, just raise your hand. We were trying to keep you in the dark, actually. There we go. Okay, we are asked each year to renew our commitment to connectional giving to the United Methodist Church through our Rocky Mountain Conference. For the last couple of years, we have not felt that we were able, in a good financial position, to send in our full 13% that is asked by the conference. For 2013, we made a distinct and successful effort to send $1,000 each month to the conference as a faithful offering. This year, 2014, we increased our offering each month to $1,250. Because of the faithful generosity of our congregation, give yourself a hand. And the imminent paying off of Grace Mortgage, more on that in a few moments. Our Finance Committee recommends that for the year 2015, Grace commits to the full 13% of our income to meet our connectional giving commitment.
Thank you very much for all the work you've done, and thank you for all the work you've done, certainly. Can you please join me in our litany? Connectional giving allows us to participate in our
Time out. That says Reverend Mark. So that's
Pay attention out there, please.
Connectional giving allows us to participate in Christ's healing and transforming work all over the world. Foundational to our identity as United Methodists, this connection enables us to do so much more together than we could ever do alone. Therefore, connectional giving is the first missional priority of the local church.
As pastor of this congregation, I pledge myself to leadership and education as I interpret our global mission for Jesus Christ through our connectional giving, and I will encourage this giving as our first missional priority. And now you.
We commit to connectional giving as our first missional priority, which means 13% of our total gross income, as voted on by the 2014 annual conference session. May God help us to be generous people, richly blessed to be us.
I get a little stage fright, but I was supposed to say in my last comment that I was going to tell you about the mortgage payment, if there's any interest in that. I thought you might be. As I promised, a word on the Grace Hall mortgage. We started 2014, owing $20,713.94 on our Grace Hall mortgage. Again, because of your generosity and your faithful commitment, we have that balance down to about $2,000. I did not get a report on the November payment, and we are yet to pay December, so I think that'll be about what we're going to end up possibly owing on mortgage. We are on track to pay that mortgage off by the spring of 2015. If not before. And might I say that we even received a large gift from a trust of a special lady that passed away, Bonnie Jen Kester. She was an early member of this church, possibly a founder, but there's a question about that. And we have plans for that money, which will be shared with you in a moment. But we have done that work of paying off Grace Worship without taking a penny out of that gift from Bonnie Jen Kester. You deserve that applause. You are amazing and faithful givers. Thank you, wonderful Grace UMC.
We have one more line, if that's okay.
Oh.
So now we invite Shelley Shelton, President of our Ad Hoc Endowment Committee, to come forward, vice president, chairperson, to tell us about the Ad Hoc Endowment.
Hi. Good afternoon. As Bonnie told you, we were recipients of a very generous gift of, I believe it was around $106,000 from Bonnie Jean Kester. And that gift, really the only stipulation was to help further Grace United Methodist Church. And a permanent endowment fund does just that. It looks for the future of a church. And the income from that gift can continue to help the church. That gift will be invested permanently in perpetuity, and only the income will be used to help the church in the future. Now, to do a permanent endowment fund takes quite a bit of doing. You have to establish some governing documents, and the church does have quite a bit of structure around how this happens. You have to have, help me out with the name of the, you have to have a church conference that establishes a document that tells you how you can distribute the funds and tells you what the structure looks like. You have to have a document that establishes how you can accept gifts. You have to have job descriptions. You have to have a way to interact with the trustees, that the endowment committee itself interacts with the trustees. And the ad hoc committee, it's actually 2 phases. The ad hoc committee, which right now consists of Reverend Sandy, myself, Wanda Denton, Dan Gallant, Susan Robertson, and that's it, right? Okay. That committee will dissolve in February when we have our charge conference. It will turn into a permanent endowment committee. Now that committee will consist of a lay leader, a member of the finance committee, a member of the trustees. Reverend Sandy will also serve, and it will also have 3 to 10 at-large members. These members will accept gifts, and they will serve as directed by the charge conference, who will adopt these documents. The ad hoc committee has been working very, very hard to develop these documents, and the documents have been provided by the Rocky Mountain Foundation, and we've been poring over them, looking at decision points as to what the minimum gift might look like, what income might be defined as, where the principal might be defined, what a down year, if there was down year, where might we say, no, we're not going to take any income out of this, what an unrestricted gift might look like, what designated funds might look like. So say somebody gave $500 to the church. Would that go to the endowment committee, or would that just go to the church, where the trustees would be able to say how that would be spent? Would the endowment committee even touch that? Defining those roles So we've been working very hard on what that would look like, so the trustees would still have a lot of control over what that would look like, and the endowment committee would have a very defined role on what they would touch as well. And so these funds are permanently invested and will have a permanent impact going forward. Now, when the permanent endowment committee takes over, the ad hoc committee will dissolve. And maybe the people who are serving right now will not be serving going forward. So here is an opportunity, Brad and Laura, for you to serve. If you have an interest in marketing, or you feel that you can go and talk, and you have a special gift in going and serving your fellow congregants and helping them to develop their estate planning, or talking to them about including the church in their wills, or in talking about their life insurance needs, or, personally, I have included Grace as a beneficiary in my life insurance. Not many people know you can do that. That is a need that an at-will member on the Permanent Endowment Committee can do. And the Permanent Endowment Committee will be elected at this Church Conference in February. So we will still be continuing on with these webinars for a year. We started in July and will end in June. But here in about 2 months, the tone of these webinars will change. And they will start talking about how to develop the brochures, how to develop the advertising, how to talk to congregants about these needs, and about how to size, how to make the church a part of your planning, and how to help the church go on. Because truly, this is a perpetual gift that you can give the church long after you're gone. So, Brad and Laura, if you feel that you could help us in this way, we would certainly love to have you. Thank you for your time.
Remember, you asked for this report. Hi, I'm Brian Martin. I'm your SPRC Staff Parish Relations Committee Chair, and so as part of my responsibilities with that, we get to set the clergy compensation. This is the one piece of the church budget that we all get to vote on at this meeting, so I encourage you to turn to page 26 in your playbill if you haven't already taken a look at that. It is very small writing, so if you need a magnifying glass, sorry I don't have one, but there are bigger copies on the table in the back, so if you want to take one or take a look at it there, you're welcome to. The SPRC committee every year discusses clergy compensation. We set the overall package using a formula that leads to the worksheet that's on page 26 of your playbill. There are a variety of things that we consider. If you look also at page 6, the middle bullet from my report from SPRC, I'll highlight just a couple of things. One is that this is only the second time in Reverend Sandy's 6 years here that we've been able to offer her a slight increase in compensation. So SPRC recommended and the Finance Committee supported a 3% cost of living increase for the overall compensation. The great news out of that middle bullet on page 6 is there's no increase in our health insurance costs for 2015. They're going to stay exactly the same. So thank you to the conference for making that happen. The overall package is $90,847. If you have any questions, now's the time before we vote.
Brian, I'd just like to mention that the budget, which included the total salary, is about $700 less than it was last year.
Yeah, Bobby just mentioned, if you didn't hear, the overall church budget is about $700 lower than it was last year, even with that increase in clergy compensation. So, and for those of you who are mathematicians and are looking at the overall church budget, maybe when you get home, we were talking over in the corner about the $18,000 in wider missions. The actual 13% of that 161 at the bottom is about 21,000, a little more than that. So we are shooting for the 21,000. We're shooting for the 13%. But because we don't know how much the overall giving will be, it'll be 13% of whatever the overall giving is. So if you come back to Bobby and say that 18,000 doesn't work out, that was the target. But it amounts to $1,500 per month. So any questions back to the clergy compensation? Before we vote, I would just like you to give one more round of applause to Reverend Sandy and her family for all the support they've given us. We are blessed to have a very creative pastor who does great work here. Thank you so much. Reverend Mark, I'll leave it to you for the first.
Are we prepared to vote, or do we have any other questions? The budget, if you didn't catch that, the budget is a proposed budget, and I'm so impressed you guys are so far along this early in the year. That's fantastic. Most churches don't do this until after the close of books, so fantastic, good work.
And a great committee to work with.
Wonderful. Thank you all. All those in favor of accepting the clergy compensation package, please. You've just been outvoted by God. All those who vote to accept this, please say aye.
Aye.
Who don't, same sign. Thank you all very much.
Glenda, I knew we were pirates.
So, no, wait a minute, I'm sorry, I kind of wasn't here. So you need this church every case you do these law like this kid?
Reverend Sandy, that's nice that you get paid and all, but you surely cannot do all the work around here, because, well, obviously stuff gets done, and I'm not sure you're the one doing it.
You're absolutely right. My office manager, Wendy, does most of it.
What I mean is, who are the other leaders in the congregation? The lay people that do all the hands-on work around this church.
All right, well, you asked for it. Here to fill you in on our lay leadership is incoming Ministry Council Vice Chair, Michelle Aldrich. And while she's coming up, if you would find your lay leadership report on page 22 of your program booklet. One quick change. I just learned that the UMW president for next year will be Gail Grace.